Yeah, I think that offers a perfect segue into our kind of the 7 big problems that I would say of idolizing virginity. And so those of you who watched on YouTube, feel free to leave comments, share, discuss this. But 7 big problems. Starting at number 1, if we idolize virginity, a lot of times what happens, it leaves people feeling like, as you said, like damaged goods if they're not. Sometimes we had abstinence presentations in the 90s that were like, girls, you see this rose? That's you. That's your virginity. But then you get with one boy, pluck. Another guy, pluck, and they start plucking off all the rose petals, and then you've got this barren stem. Like, is that what you want to be on your wedding night? And for these like 13-year-old girls, it's like, oh no, I don't. I want to be that full blooming rose. But then you've got that 13-year-old girl in the corner is like, I am not a virgin, or I was, raped, when I was 12. And it's like, that's me. I'm that barren. And then someone else comes in. It's like a piece of gum. You've got this fresh piece of gum, and then blah, 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 chew it. Who wants this chewed piece of gum? And so it just makes you feel like you have less to offer. And it's, like I said, especially hurtful to those who've been sexually abused. But, just for those who lost their virginity, it's like, okay, great. You're really motivating these girls, but you're making me feel like absolute damaged goods.
Yeah, and I think it does injustice to our doctrine of redemption, right? Like either we have a savior who redeems all, including our body, or we don't. And again, like kind of like St. Paul says, that's not an excuse to go and sin whenever we want. Like, where sin abounds, grace abounds all the more. That doesn't mean we can just sin. But it does mean that either the experience of redemption is real, even in our sexuality, or it isn't. And we want to bank on the fact that it is. And I think especially for people who are victims of abuse or rape or other terrible crimes against them, I can't even imagine like the psychological and emotional hurt that they carry if they feel like their own church or their own community isn't supporting them in that and isn't telling them to look forward in hope to a holy and happy relationship in marriage, or possibly a vocation to the religious life, wherever they're going to find their vocation, that they can look forward and hope to that and not feel like they're walking in already damaged because of something they didn't willingly do. And then if they didn't, or if it was an act of their own will, women especially, I think for me, this was my biggest motivation in writing this article was I just want my friends to believe that Jesus has done it all, like has redeemed them, and that none of us walk in with perfect virtue and with perfect chastity to marriage, especially, but just that they can walk in to their marriages trusting, if they have fallen and recommitted to virtue, that Jesus is with them and he loves them, and that their gift of self can't be taken away.
Yeah, and I tend to often speak directly into this because my wife shares often how she was sexually abused when she was younger by a family member, had some really horribly abusive dating relationships. And, I try to explain to girls, like, I don't love her less because that stuff happened to her. If anything, you kind of want to love her more to make up for what these jerks did, so it's not like, oh, that's you. Like pinning our very identity on something someone else did to us. That gives them way too much power. It's like you already felt overpowered at that time when they were violating, but now to let that power go into your future of like, now I become defined by how you polluted me. It's like, no, at some point you cut them off and said like, my future will not be dictated. My worthiness of love will not be determined because something happened to me in the past. I'm not some barren little rose stem. I'm not some chewed up piece of gum. I'm a beloved daughter of God, and in that lies my worthiness in being loved. Not what I've done. It's not like I'm more worthy of being loved because I'm a virgin. Like I've held on to it till I'm wedding. I'm so worthy of love this night. It's like, no, like ingesting some of this stuff, you can understand the educators at the time, I'm sure, had the best of intentions, right? Because they're looking out to this crowd of, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed little, teenagers and like, hey, I really want to get these kids to save their virginity. But when you've got, what is it, like something like 80% of evangelical Christians, at least not waiting to the wedding night, well, we've got to not forget them, and think that something just happens after college. No, it's happening in the grade schools too, and we got to make sure we're tailoring our message to be sensitive.
Yeah, and you want people to preserve their virginity out of love and not out of fear, right? And so what those tactics do is it's this preemptive fear and shame when you want to build, especially the youth, up to preserve this gift out of love, and out of love primarily for how God has created them, and out of love for God, but love for each other. And then if for some reason that gift has been given away, whether out of their own volition or not, they can still rest on that love of God, how they've been created, and that they're made for that love, right?
Yeah. Yeah, if you think about it, I mean, love is the only motivating force that would even enable you to save yourself for marriage, even if
Yeah.
you've made mistakes in the past. Because, like, for me, I mean, I did get married at the age of 26, 27, whatever it was, as a virgin. But, like, what motivated me to do that? It wasn't like, oh no, I'm going to get gonorrhea otherwise. It's like, oh no, unwed pregnancy rates. Like, that wasn't even on the radar.
Yeah.
Some people say, oh, well, saving sex for marriage would be the hardest thing. It really wasn't. I mean, yeah, it's difficult, but it's like, who am I surrounding myself with? When I'm with the wrong type of people, yeah, it'd be difficult. If I'm dating the wrong type of people, yeah, I'm just making it harder on myself than it needs to be. But find somebody who shares your values and surround yourself with good guys. It's totally doable. We just make it harder than it needs to be. But hey there, I hope you enjoyed that little clip. But if you want to see the whole episode where this came from, just click the link here. And in the meantime, we want to invite you to help us share this message. And there's a couple things you can do real quick. Number one, if you like or comment or share this video, YouTube will actually show it to more people. Also, don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell. We release videos every single day, and you'll be notified as soon as those come out. If you want to help us also to spread this message, you can support us at patreon.com/Jason Evert. That helps us to create these videos and show them to the whole world. God bless.